It's the beginning of the weekend here in the Transformer world, and man, do we got even more listings we have to talk about. JT Prime 17 and the Retail Computer UPC archives and listings have been gushing over this past week of all the stuff that's going to be happening in late 2024 and, of course, early 2025 for our Transformers brand. So we're going to jump into it, cover all of these. We got a bunch of legacy stuff to talk about, as well as two pretty controversial Studio Series ones. Let's do it like we always do here on the Transformer Slag podcast and make sense of it like we always do, and give a little bit of a history lesson from about a year ago. So stay tuned for all of this today. And the first thing we're going to be covering is a whole bunch of package refreshes for Transformers Legacy United. And these are all great ones because they're all loaded, heavy ones that have a heavy secondary market value, and now people will get an opportunity to pick them up, and it won't break the bank for them. Hasbro has been listening to what you guys have been screaming about, and they are delivering. Let's get into them. First one we have is a Tra-Gen Legacy United Uni Deluxe Cosmos Package Refresh PR. This was going to happen. All the Hasbro marketing guys said that it was just a matter of time when the opportunity would create itself, when the Walmart exclusivity deal would end, and that Speedia 500 Walmart exclusive deal is done, and now Cosmos could be a mass retail product. It's just a matter of how they're going to put it out there. It's obviously not going to be in Speedia 500 package. You know, maybe they might do a slight tweak to the paint or something. I'm kind of reminded of what they did with Cosmos's, I guess we'll call it the Legend scale as it was called back then, in 2014 with the Thrilling 30, and then they took that Titan's Return repaint, and they just did like mild, very limited changes between the two that honestly, if you found them in the wild separately, you would have thought they were the same figure. So they could do something like that, or they could do what historically a lot of PR package refresh re-releases have been, and that's just that, straight up re-releases. So we'll see what happens. Maybe they'll do something different with that flag, you know, give it an Autobot logo on it or something. But it's a good thing because it'll soften the market on a character that, you know, as of this recording, historically has been doubling his MSRP price in the secondary market. So that's great news for anyone who couldn't get Cosmos. Fantastic stuff. Another one here, the Tra-Gen Legacy Uni, aka United Voyager Class Ramjet Package Refresh. Ramjet is another one of those stupid, super expensive secondary market figures that is barely 4 years old and goes for way too much money. He was an Amazon exclusive 2-pack along with Dirge. Dirge got his, re-release package refresh during Legacy Evolution, so that softened his market, and now Ramjet is up to bat and is going to be doing the same thing to be brought down to earth and be normal. The only question is will Ramjet be much like Dirge and get a whole bunch of mild changes to it, like the Dirge had the molded plastic of his wings done for that release, where it was originally painted with the Amazon one, and people prefer the molded plastic one because it doesn't scratch the paint during transformation. So we'll see what happens with that. But hey, now you don't have to pay insane money for Ramjet. He will be out there in the Voyager price point, so that's fantastic stuff. Another Voyager that shot up in value, Tra-Gen Legacy Uni Voyager Class Tarn Package Refresh. Tarn was one of those figures that just recently came out and then absolutely doubled in value, almost tripled in value in some cases due to his low distribution, and people just hoarding him and picking him up because of the uniqueness of the character, and it's his first time getting a proper figure outside of some licensed third-party, stuff at the, licensed or third-party stuff, really, that didn't do much. Hasbro heard your pleas, and they're doing a package refresh, and he will be out there, and you'll be able to get your Tarn, and he's a great figure, and I suggest you do get him when you see him with those package refreshes. And the last package refresh is another one, the Tra-Gen Legacy Uni Galaxy Shuttle package refresh. Another Speedia 500 one that is now free from the Walmart shackles, but this was a unique case in a lot of ways. Due to the low sales of the initial run of Speedia 500 stuff with Walmart, that second wave got prematurely canceled, and while certain characters in that second wave did trickle out, like the Crasher, the Shadow Strip, and Galaxy Shuttle, while the Crasher and the Shadow Strip were 2 deluxes and had much better population because a deluxe case has 16 to 8, and you could get 8 per case of each character. So there's a lot more population of it out there. Galaxy Shuttle was a leader class. That's 2 per case. It's a bigger price point. Some stores would only get 1 case, sometimes 0. So there'd only be maybe 2 per store. And then you combine that with the fact that Galaxy Shuttle is a character that historically only had 1 other figure. And that 1 other figure was a Transformers Victory Generation 1 1989 figure. And that 1989 figure is expensive even today. So you top end all of that value, all the fact that this is its first modern figure, the fact that the original one is expensive, the fact that it had a very low population, it's going to skyrocket the value, and he became ridiculously expensive in the secondary market. But now he's being package refreshed. He will be out there. People will be able to pick him up, so that's fantastic. And then everyone can get on the Galaxy Shuttle train, or shuttle, or whatever. Either way, I guess you know what I mean. Maybe both cases. But that's fantastic news. Let's get into other listings here. Some of them are stuff that we've already discussed before, but now it confirms them even more with these listings here, as well as some brand new product we didn't know that existed that are now coming. So we have a Tragen Legacy Uni Core Class Beast Wars Dinobot. We knew about this one. We saw different kinds of leaks here and there, but this now confirms it with its product number and everything that it will 100% be happening. I'm down for that. I love Beast Wars, and that old Beast Wars Dinobot Deluxe class, if you took that toy engineering from back then, that could easily be transitioned to a core class and very little of it would be lost, in my opinion. It's something where I can imagine that they're also doing it because by 2025, they probably have to refresh a trademark. So that works out too. And no doubt they also picked that character because there's a lot of repaint potential and retool potential. Outside of the obvious show colors and maybe a toy-accurate color repaint, along with the obvious Grimlock repaint that so many people expect at this point. And of course, if you gloss over all the slew of vanilla Dinobot repaints, because there's a ton of them, you could do a Beast Wars 2nd, Beast Wars 2 Thrustor retool. That would be super cool if they did that. Or you could do Beast Wars Neo Hardhead. That's another kind of retool also from him. That's a different kind of dinosaur. Or you could do the localized Western version, which was the Beast Machine's Dinobot subline Dinotron. So there's a lot of potential for repaints there. So that's a nice fun one that you have that Dinobot, but the stuff that could come afterwards from that tooling could also be just as exciting. And you could even rumor, maybe you could do Slash, the female Dinobot member from Power of the Primes. There's a lot there that could be done. There's a lot. It's very fun, that one. This one's great because it's been back and forth of what's happening with this guy. Tragen Legacy United Deluxe Class G1 Sureshot. Looks like Sureshot is back on the list, and he is not canceled as the rumors were going out. And again, it doesn't surprise me personally. Mark Mayer from Hasbro's design team said he always loves completing his little micro collections of mini teams and everything like that. And Sureshot would be that last missing member of the core class Autobot New Faces Targetmasters, and he'd be joining that Siege Crosshairs, which I think really at this point also needs kind of an update, and the Point Blank that we just recently got, which I also feel needs a more anime accurate version in the future. So we'd at least be completing that collection in one shape or form, and Sureshot would finally get a proper update since his original toy. Imagine, he has had nothing since his original toy back in 86, 87. So yeah, much overdue. We got some new stuff that we didn't know about. So let's start with the Tragen Legacy United Deluxe Class Armada Wheeljack. This one doesn't surprise me so much because, when we saw that Shatterglass Sideswipe that came with the Shatterglass Hot Rod, that Hasbro Pulse exclusive 2-pack, and all that major retooling that was done to that Kingdom Earth mode Sideswipe, the scar on the chest, the club weapons, the Minicon that he's packed with, it was pretty clear what the next repaint was going to be. So Armada Wheeljack with his Minicon wind shear, get ready for that. That's definitely coming in the future. And we get yet again another Armada character from the Aaron Archer library being updated to the modern era. Fantastic stuff. Can't wait for that one. We got a Tra-Gen Legacy United Deluxe Class G2 breakdown. This one was only a matter of time. Same kind of story. When I saw that head variant on the Legacy breakdown that was done a while back, that was more toy accurate, and I speculated way back. This was like in April of 2023. I speculated, oh, they're going to do a G2 breakdown totally from that. Because historically, we've had G2 breakdowns when we get breakdown molds. So this is going to happen. No surprise. Probably going to be that new head sculpt. And that's pretty hype for every first BotCon exclusive. Like to continue that history and keep that going. And the last one we got here of the new stuff from Legacy is a Tra-Gen Legacy United Leader Class G1 Overcharge. Now, I swear the first time I heard this listing, I was like, oh, nice. We're finally getting an update of that Minicon taxi cab character, but now in full size. I loved that Minicon. I thought it had the most clever name. It's a taxi cab named Overcharge. I thought they were going to do like a larger version of him or something and bring him back from the dead. But nope, because I saw Leader Class afterwards next to the name, I'm like, oh, I know what this is. It's no doubt going to be the other boring Overcharge character. Back in 2005, Ehobby was taking a whole bunch of Generation 1 toys and their molds and everything and doing simple repaints into brand new characters. You know, during that era of 2005, that's where Clampdown was born, Deep Cover, Road Hauler, Sunstorm was one of them, many others. Those were all these characters, you know, born out of that using those color schemes. And Overcharge was part of that era of that. But he was kind of, you know, one of those less interesting ones. He didn't have much of an interesting, unique story or anything. So they kind of made up for it by giving him like this crazy sticker sheet that came with all these different faction logos, Autobot, Decepticon, the EDC, the Ancient Ones, the Quintessons, even the Heralds of Unicron. So it kind of let you like pick what faction you wanted to make him, because this character was marketed as a Quintessons mass-produced drone. So you could kind of make him any faction you want to make him in a lot of ways. And then, of course, Sakamoto came in and went, I'm going to fix this character. And, you know, added some time travel and space vortexes and kind of wrote a story where one of these overcharges broke away and became his own person. And that person he became was Blitzwing. So if you want to own Blitzwing before he was Blitzwing, you get this overcharge. That's kind of his history. He's kind of like how Boba Fett broke away from being a clone of all the Jango Fetts. Kind of the same story here. So pretty cool stuff. Again, hopefully they include something with it. You know, obviously, you know, at the end of this rant, like I probably forgot to mention, it's going to be a Legacy Leader Class Blitzwing repaint. Will it include like an extra sticker sheet with a whole bunch of faction logos? Will it get some cool new tooling? Or, you know, tie it to its Quintesson origins, or maybe his future Blitzwing, you know, origins. Who knows? But a very interesting repaint. But dare I say, might be one of the weaker ones in terms of the retail market. So maybe not rush to get that one just yet. Wait for a sale. And the last things we're going to cover is the loaded stuff. We got 2 Studio Series listings here. Both of them Leader Class, both of them quite loaded. I'm going to start with the Galvatron one first. We have a Tra-Gen Studio Series Leader Class 86 Galvatron. I'll get into the elephant in the room in another moment. So the Galvatron, no doubt, will have some kind of improvements over the Kingdom mold. I get a feeling it's not going to be a straight-up repack of the Kingdom one. I think they're going to do something from the ground up, separate themselves from that Kingdom figure that was done a while back. That Kingdom one was done during the John Warden era. So this would be more of a Mark Mayer, Evan, you know, Evan and the whole other crew, Evan Brooks. That would be more of a unique thing made for their era. And, you know, get rid of those 5mm ports all over him, maybe like slim it down and make it more screen accurate. And then you have a brand new tooling that then you could repaint all over again into toy colors, Galvatron 2, reformatted colors, lava colors. The sky's the limit. But we're going to get our definitive 86 Megatron soon. So if you're looking at your Kingdom 1 and going you're not satisfied, something's in the pipes. And then we got Megatron. Tra-Gen Studio Series Leader Class 86 Megatron. First thing I'm going to address here, it's labeled as Leader Class. So that means that scale-wise, I have a feeling we're going to get something similar to the Coronation Starscream. It's going to have to scale with a Voyager-sized kind of Optimus. So they're going to probably have to top end it to make it fit that leader price point, in the sense like the Coronation Starscream, they included a bunch of extra stuff, the throne. So I think they might do something similar to maybe what they did with the Nemesis Bridge Japanese 3-pack we saw not too long ago. Take that best looking tank Megatron, give it that G1 color and repaint and sculpt as best as you can. Include the Nemesis Bridge seat with it to kind of also fill out the box. Maybe include an Energon mace, maybe the gun that killed Optimus Prime, just to tie it to the 86 movie. They will pad it out. And like I said, tank Megatron. That Earthrise mold, he can't be a gun. I'm going to repost right here a segment that I did last year where I went deep into what was going on with Gun Megatron, and it was pretty much Hasbro's marketers talking about how they can't do Gun Megatron, and they can't even do Gun Megatron as a HasLab item. So I'm just going to post this right here because there's a lot to cover. So take it away, Proto Man, from the far-flung years of 2023, and explain why we can't get a Gun Megatron, at least in Western retail. We're going to be addressing some stuff that was discussed in an interview with some of Hasbro's marketing team, as well as some of the new comic book stuff that we're going to be getting in the near future. So let's jump into that. I really wanted to really break down what's going on here because there was a lot of discussion, and I kind of want to make sense of a lot of things with people. And we had a interview with BMAC and Delaney from Hasbro Marketing via Toys R Us. And this interview had a lot of cool stuff in it that was talked about, but there was a few key points that I kind of wanted to cover and make sense of things because it's the same things I keep hearing, and I've discussed it with some of the big people within Hasbro of why this stuff doesn't happen and, the reality of it. And one of the things that they talked about was why Megatron can't be a gun, and it's all this constantly keeps coming up, and it's pretty simple. I mean, but there's a few things here. Like, first of all, there's the Western world and its relation to guns, and the Eastern world and its relation to guns, and we're going to get into that separation. But, there's always been factors. There's always been things of, legality. You can't have a toy that's a gun of a certain size and stuff. I mean, size is the first thing. You could have a action figure of 3 to 6 inches, have a all black little gun as its accessory or weapon. Megatron himself has been in gun mode as an accessory or weapon with Western release toys, PVCs and figures and masterpieces. And that was fine because of the size of the gun, and totally fine. The second issue has always been patents. And I know this is crazy, but this gets into the legality stuff. This is where it gets really crazy. But, Walter P-38, which is the gun that Megatron turns into, is a legally patented gun. And it was patented in 1938 by Walter Arms and, Carl Walter, who invented it first. And that patent exists. When 100 years pass and the patent expires, then they'll be able to do whatever they want. So you'll have to wait until, 2038 for that patent to go, which isn't too far away when you think about it. But it's something where, that patent exists. So if Hasbro, let's say Hasbro wanted to make a reissue or whatever, and it used that design, they have to pay a license to it, much like they do with car companies and stuff like that. And Walter Arms still exists today. It's based out of Arkansas. So there's that issue too. Which, and that's probably the smallest issue. That's if they get over all the other legality stuff. But the big issue is it's a gun of that size that would transform. And it would be difficult to do. During the Aaron Archer era, they figured out ways to make Megatron turn into a gun, but it was met with different kinds of reception. They tried to go the Nerf route. Classics Megatron 2006, color him up kind of crazy, make sure he has a lot of Nerf kind of shape and stuff like that, and you could kind of get away with it. And that's one way you could go about it. Another way is, size. If you make it small enough, and again, during that Aaron Archer era, when it was like the Transformers 2010 Hunt for the Decepticon Reveal the Shield line that they did. In 2011, they did a Legend Scale G1 Megatron. Looked like a mini version of the Walter P-38, I guess, but with, not all the details, so they had to pay a license. And that was a Joe Kide design back then, and they were able to pull that off. And they put a little orange tip on the end, and that was fine because it was small. Unfortunately, in 2015, guns that small started to become a reality that actually could shoot bullets, and that put an end to Hasbro ever doing that again. So we fall into this thing where it's like, you could make a gun Megatron, but it would look so garish. Hasbro tried during their reissues back in the day. They're like, well, we have all these reissues we're doing. Could we reissue Gun Megatron? And they tried to do a Gun Megatron done with safety colors and everything like that. First of all, the Walter P38 patent became an issue. And the second thing was essentially it looked terrible and they didn't want to risk it. They didn't want to risk, putting out an ugly product and then still the worry that it does look like a gun at the end of the day. And Hasbro is this big family company where they're like, it's just not worth it to do all of that when you could just make him a tank. And there is a possibility that in the future they could make him turn into a gun or something, but it's just so much easier to make him a mobile turret, a tank, or something like that, and avoid any kind of legality issues that could come of it. Now, the flip side of that is Japan. And this is something that I keep saying. I don't know why people are always pushing for, why can't we get a Gun Megatron? Why can't we get a Gun Megatron? It's more so, why can't we get a Gun Megatron in Walmart Western retail? Because let me tell you something. You can get your Gun Megatron. You just have to have a credit card and be able to buy online. Because, let's be real, Japan doesn't care. And Japan has completely different history when it comes to guns. Guns are practically illegal in Japan. You have to go through a huge amount of loopholes to even be a gun owner, let alone be able to own ammunition and stuff. Police officers in Japan walk around with no sidearm or anything. It's a totally different culture there. And as a result, there's less of a fear of someone brandishing a gun because of just how uncommon it is. And even not too long ago, we did a segment here on the podcast, Daiki Kogyu, I think it was called. They were a water gun company. And to celebrate like an anniversary of Transformers, they made a water gun Megatron that literally was only slightly larger than the original Walter P38 that exists. And there was no yellow tip on it, no orange tip, no nothing. And it was put out there and it was sold. And it sold quite well. And it's a different world over there. They're able to have that kind of stuff because it's not as much of a legal issue. Not to mention, we've talked about this in the past when it comes to trademarks, licensing, and patents in Japan. It's a whole different animal there too. So Walter P38 probably doesn't have their reach so much out there too with that kind of stuff. But that's why I feel that if you want a Gun Megatron, it's going to be a Japanese only product. And that's not a bad thing, because has that stopped us before from importing masterpieces or anything else? You'll just have to buy it online. And guess what? That's what we're already doing already. We're already on Hasbro Pulse, buying stuff online. We're already buying from all the different online retailers, whether it be Walmart or Target or even the other stores where we get our toys. So it's something that if you do want it, it'll happen. But it's going to be Japanese. And for you to think that you're going to walk into Walmart in New York or LA or Florida or even here in Montreal, and you're going to see a Gun Megatron hanging on the peg there, that's not going to happen. But it will. It'll just have to be Japan. They'll do something. Look, how many times do we have masterpiece Megatrons that turn into guns, G1 reissues that turn into guns? So it's going to be Japanese stuff. So you will get your Gun Megatron, but it'll be Japan. It just will be Takara Tomy. It won't be Hasbro. That's all I got to say about that. And it's so weird to still see people thinking it could be possible. It won't. It can't. It won't. It just won't happen. And thank you, Protoman from 2023. Looks like you had more hair then too, I think. Anyways, thank you guys. Thank you for watching all this and taking the time to listen. Let me know what you think about all of that. I know it's a loaded one today. There's a lot of stuff to cover. Also tonight, specifically for Friday today, we're going to be having a Transformer Slag podcast live stream on Friday. We're doing it on Friday instead of Saturday because I have a lot of convention stuff I have to deal with on Saturday and Sunday, so I will not have time to do a live stream, so I'm going to do it on Friday. We're probably going to also be doing a giveaway just to make up for the fact that you're going to get it on a Friday instead of a Saturday. So I'll see you then. Take care. Otherwise, let me know what you think, and I'll see you tonight. Take care.